Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here today. I'm going to be sharing an idea on creating a Sweet Notes mini note card with brand new products from the Pretty Pink Posh January 2023 release. This is an awesome little die set to create little mini Valentines, lunchbox notes for the kiddos, just little mini cards that maybe you want to give to people. I love this set. You could even attach this right to your A2 or slimline style cards, and I think that would be really fun. Scrapbookers, how cute would it be to put a bunch of these on, I'm thinking like a grid style scrapbook page and have multiples of these that open up and are interactive. So lots of great ways to use this die set. I'm going to start by die cutting the note card itself. This is the Sweet Note die from some Hero Arts PEONY cardstock. And then I'm using Lumberjack Plaid, Rustic Wilderness, and Gathered Twigs to stencil the layered cherries stencil set from Pretty Pink Posh right onto the pink cardstock. I don't know about you guys, but I love how stenciling on a colored cardstock looks. Now, I am obviously only doing a portion of the stencil and I'm not stenciling the flap. Because of the length of this design, I opted to go ahead and stencil the majority of it and then I'll stencil the rest. Now, would you have to stencil the back portion? What I'm using as the back, it wouldn't have to be. No. But what I'm imagining this is, imagine you have a sheet of pattern paper and you die cut it to make your note card. That is how I imagine when I am creating, because this is a freestanding note card. I'm not attaching this to another card or using it on something else. And so I want the back to be stenciled as well. Almost like if you took a cherry piece of pattern paper and die cut it to use as your note card. And look at the way the Distress Oxide inks pop on here. You could really use anything, any kind of ink that you want. I picked Oxides because they have pigment in them and the pigment is going to sit on top of that cardstock more and not absorb into and change the color a lot of the ink. So that is why I picked these for a colored cardstock. Also really awesome on craft cardstock or other lighter colors of cardstock. Now, once I have stenciled the majority of my note card, I am going to go ahead and stencil the flap. Kind of a pain as far as just such that little spot or little area, but really I love how seamless it looks once I finished. And I'm doing the reverse of what I just did, where I did cherries, stems, and leaves, and I'm doing leaves, stems, and cherries. You could also do some ink blending on this. You could stamp a text background over this, would look really cool. You could do some ink splatter if you wanted to. Anything you want to do to add more depth, dimension, interest, distressing to your little envelope. I'm keeping mine pretty clean and classic. I really want it to have kind of a Valentine's vibe, but it could work for any time because I'm not necessarily going with a Valentine's sentiment, but with the XO, it could be. After I have my stenciling done, I am ready to stamp the XOXO. So Pretty Pink Posh has a ton of these great sets. Actually, first what I'm doing is folding on the score lines and using a bone folder to get really nice scoring. But then I'm going to take the XOXO set. And what I was saying is Pretty Pink Posh has a lot of these stamp sets that have lots of little mini images that spell out a word. And with this, we're obviously only going to use part of the XOXO. I am going to stamp this on some Neenah 110-pound weight smooth white cardstock using embossing ink, heat embossing with white embossing powder, and then inking over the top with Lumberjack Plaid, really to just kind of keep that Lumberjack Plaid look and feel to this design. I love a good embossed resist. How about you guys? It is always a crowd pleaser. And this is going to work for anything. Now, because this is XOXO and not just XO, I really could have made 2 of these note cards. I probably will just go ahead and throw together another one off camera with my remaining XO because I don't want it to go to waste. Obviously, after I have heat embossed this, I will take my lumberjack plaid and I'm going to go over this. Now, I do want to say I started trying to do like an ombre effect, meaning kind of down near the bottom of my letters, I went darker with the lumberjack plaid and then I lightened it up and then I die cut my letters. And when I laid the letters onto my card or my little sweet note card, I just didn't think the light area looked that great. I wanted it to be consistent all the way through and be a dark lumberjack plaid. So I will be inking up that with a much darker hand after it's been die cut. And honestly, I think it really pops a little bit better darker. So you can see I'm doing more of like an ombre, which I do a lot. I love how that looks. And I do want to mention, with emboss resist, you want to make sure you take a dry paper towel, a dry rag, and you wipe away any of that ink sitting on top of the white so that the white really pops. So you can see me going through and I'm really using a nice firm press and rubbing away any ink sitting on top of that embossed area. Look how cute that is. I'm going to take my die out. Wire snips, if you guys don't have wire snips, they are so helpful for all of your tabbed dies. Most companies come with tabbed dies, not all. I've mentioned this before. If you don't have tabbed dies, I love it. I don't stab myself. However, most come this way, and I know it's more economical for the companies. So I use some wire snips. These are new ones from Lawn Fawn. Highly recommend. Hero Arts also has a really great set. I love both of them. I use them all the time. And I am going to take my letters. Now, this is what I was mentioning. When I lay the letters down, the top of the letter is almost too light for me. I feel like a dark, deep cherry is more what I'm looking for. So let's grab our lumberjack plaid and our ink pad, our brush and our ink pad, pardon me, and let's just go ahead and really make the top of our letters nice and dark. I think this is going to look a lot better against the pink and cherry stenciling of our background. I am working on a glass mat. I do want to mention that. It helps so much for ease of cleanup. You can take a little alcohol, rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle and clean it up easily. Next, the cherry on top, our sweet cherry, I believe is what it's called. It is Sweet Cherries stamp set from Pretty Pink Posh. I am going to stamp 2 of the cherry images and You're the Cherry on Top sentiment. Now, I did stamp this on Neenah cardstock, and I'm going to use with Hero Arts INTENS-IFIED black ink. This is a great ink if you want to do any type of alcohol ink coloring like Copic markers. I am going to use Olo markers today. The recommended paper for all alcohol ink coloring is Express It. I kind of forgot and just used the scrap of paper I had laying on my desk left over from the XOXO, and it worked fine. I do think the results are better on Express It, but for such a small image, it wasn't like I was coloring in loads and loads of things for these cards. This worked really great. And I do want to mention that I've had lots of questions about paper and things like that with the Olo markers. I will tell you, when I have a lot to color, I am going to use Express It. It just kind of obviously was an accident for this. I will link the colors down below that I am using. I did not like that first yellow green. I went to just a straight green instead of a yellow green. So all of these will be linked down in the description below, as well as listed underneath the photos on my blog. So check that out in case you're interested in the colors. And yes, if you haven't seen me color with the Olo markers before, I opted to buy my markers and not get the chisel tip. And then there are connectors. I have connected 2 coordinating colors together, meaning I can just flip my marker over and do the shading. It is so easy and awesome, and I absolutely love it. Okay, after I have colored everything in, I'm going to grab my wire snips again, and we are going to cut apart the cherries we need, and I'm going to grab my favorite Sentiment Labels die from Simon Says Stamp, and we're going to die cut the cherries and die cut a sentiment strip. So simply going to line these up and run everything through my die cutting machine. Once I've run the sentiment label through one direction, I always line up with one side of the sentiment, I will take that strip, flip it around, line it up with the other side, and die cut that. Next, we are going to be ready to assemble the front of our sweet note card. I'm going to put glue really on the bottom of my XO, and I did die cut the XO from black cardstock. I got to looking at it and I decided that having a bit of a shadow is going to make the XO stand out a little bit more. I'm only putting glue really on the bottom 3/4 of my letter. Anything hanging over the top, I don't want to glue down because I still want that flap to open. And there is that great little notch in the sweet note, so you can tuck the flap in, which holds it closed, and then anything that you want to layer over. The stitched heart from the Valentine edition add-ons from this release would be really cute. I actually made one like that. It's really cute on that little notch flap. And then you tuck the flap back behind. Lots of really cute ways to use these sweet note cards. After I've glued down my letters, I'm going to glue the cherries, the 2 cherries, over to the left, and I'm going to put foam adhesive back behind my sentiment strip, and we're going to pop that up right through the center of the XOXO. I love how much I was able to get on the front of such a small little note card. Isn't it cute? I just love how tiny and cute these are. I can see using these in so many ways. I'm going to put some little highlights on my cherries, and then I thought, you know what, let's just go ahead and add a few little highlights to the stenciled cherries on the background, and then we are going to work on the inside of this note card. Now, I chose to use the flat version as my front, but you could use the solid, and you could place this stitched square on that if you want to, or you can do like I'm doing here today. I'm going to use this stitch square as a layering piece for the inside. I've die cut this from some Hero Arch Cherry cardstock, and we're going to take another sentiment from the Sweet Cherries stamp set. It says, "You're so sweet," and we're going to stamp that inside with embossing ink and heat emboss with white embossing powder. This just adds a really cute finishing touch inside your card, and then you can write a little note. Not only can you sign your name or whatever right here, but you could use the rest of the inside panel if you need to. After I've heat embossed this, I will just I think I took my finger and I wiped away the powder. You can take a nice dry paper towel or something too. Now that last cherry is going to be perfect to embellish inside of the note card. So the inside and the outside is super, super cute. You could do this with some of the candies from the XOXO stamp set, the chocolate covered strawberry, some hearts, some roses. The sky is the limit. Look at all of the fantastic products in the release, things that you might have picked up. Maybe you picked up the Valentine's mug editions. You could do a die cut cherry instead of a stamped and colored cherry, or the chocolate covered strawberries, or the layered candies. Lots and lots of fun ways to really make some cute little Valentine sweet notes, and then imagine turning them into little birthday sweet notes, or just, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, little lunchbox notes for kiddos. You could do them in any theme. Imagine like the Pretty Pink Posh dinos from last year that came out, or the trucks. Lots of kid themed sets that I think would just be super, super sweet. I'm going to add a little highlight to that cherry as well. You can see how easy it is to just slip that little flap into that notch. And there is our finished note card. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Sweet Notes note card using Pretty Pink Posh January 2023 release product. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There's exclusive content, you'll receive a handmade birthday card from me during your birthday month, monthly lives for my top tier patrons, and more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always notified when I have a video or go live. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.